Okay, so this is my Audi Q7. It's a 2007, I think. It's the S line. Um, what I'm working on today is that it has started to smell like gasoline, and it smells most of gasoline. Which I'm standing in this back corner, and I crawled under previously, and I don't think it's probably so bad right now. But I discovered that it was leaking. Here you can sort of see the wet on the fuel tank. There's a fuel tank on each side. Here's one fuel tank, and you can see the streaks where fuel has been streaking down. There's another fuel tank on the other side. Yeah, I might as well show you that. Sort of like saddlebags, and they're basically behind right in front of the rear tire. Here's the fuel tank on this side. It's not as bad as the other one. You can't see, there's a little bit of wet spot there from fuel. Anyhow, so there's gasoline that's coming down from both of them. But the most for me right now is on the driver's side. The reason for this, I expect, is pretty common with Q7s, is that there's actually a fuel pump in the tank on both sides. So there's a left and right one, and secondary fuel pump, if you want to say that, or something. And on the top of that fuel housing, I'm just going to call it a fuel pump for this, the plastic cracks, and when it pressurizes the system, then fuel starts squirting out. I'm pretty certain that's what the problem is. Now, how to get it, I thought I would have to drop the tank, and excuse the crackers, I have a 3-year-old. This is actually easier to access it from under the seat. Now, to do that, let me show you. We can slide this forward, and I'll show you where we're getting at. Underneath the back seat, you see how it has this circle? It's like a circle carpet flap. If you pick this up, two things. One, I can smell fuel more, and two, you see this metal topper? It's held on by nuts and bolts. That will enable me to access the fuel pump from inside the car. And that looks like the easiest way to do it. So there's one on the left, one on the right. To get at it, though, I'm gonna have to take out the seats. And so there's a nut, there's a bolt here. It looks like there's some bolts here, two there. There's two on the front of the rail. And then on this side, there appears to be also, when I pulled this off, there's a bolt inside there. And the up here, and here's the one over here, they appear to be triple square, and I'm going to find out right now. I think they're triple square 10. So here's a triple square. It sort of looks like a Torx, except more points maybe. And let's give this a try. So sliding this forward, I mean, you might actually be able to get at this without removing the seat, but yeah, that's a perfect fit. I'm gonna unscrew the seats and I'm gonna take them out. I'm debating whether or not to take the power. I might undo the battery too, because there's a electrical thing that connects right here. It's too dark, you can't see it. But anyway, that's what's next. I'm gonna remove the seats so I can open up that flap, and so I can undo the bolts, and that should show me the access point for the fuel pump, and then I can either replace it or I'm gonna see if I can actually repair it. Okay, here we are at the back seat. You can see I unbolted it. It used the triple square 10 millimeters on the ones that were on the floor, and then it used a triple square 12 millimeter for the one that is accessed here perpendicular. Once I pulled that loose, then I removed this clamp, wire. I'm not sure. It's got heated seats, so that's one thing, but I don't know if it had an airbag sensor in it or not, so I made sure to remove the battery. One thing crazy about the Audi and its battery location is that it's actually under the driver's seat right here, so you have to remove the two bolts in the driver's seat, and then you pivot the driver's seat backwards, and then it gives you access to the battery. I'm not going to show you the pivoting thing, but that's the bolt. one right there, that's the bolt location right here. Second bolt location is there. And then you lift this whole box upward. Okay, here it is. See, there's the battery. So I unbolted the battery, took off the negative terminal, so that, just in case this is an airbag sensor, I don't get any check engine lights. Okay, so here we are. Everything's free now, and then this hatch here is the hatch cover to get to our fuel port. So I'm going to bend that back, and then we're going to take off those 4 bolts, nuts, and we should see where the problem is. Well, apparently this isn't the first time someone's thought of my idea, which is sealing the top of it. There's goo already on it. But I can see fuel in there. Okay, I'm gonna get a paper towel and clean it up. Okay, what I've done is I've placed a whole bunch of paper towels around it, and it appears, you know, somebody has sealed it before, assuming Audi during the recall or something. And I've dried up most of the gasoline to try to make things dry, and I plugged the seat back in. I'm gonna turn back on the battery, and I'm gonna try to turn it on to see if I can see where the fuel's coming out. Well, obviously fuel did squirt out. Okay, so I decided to replace the whole thing. The goo didn't work, right? So I had to remove this thing. So far, this plug has been the hardest part of the whole thing. I snapped the top. Just for your reference, this tab right here needs to flex out, and that makes it dislodges. Now, I think the tab, that a piece of plastic that used to be on here, you're supposed to press that down here to flex the back up, and then you can pull it off. Mine was not working, and it might have been cracked before. I ended up trying to put a screwdriver in and flexing it out this way. Didn't work, snapped it off, but luckily I was able to then get underneath it and pull it off. But anyhow, here is the piece. Goes in like that. I'm not gonna put it down again. It still works for locking down, but boy is it a pain to remove. Okay, so that's off. Next, I'm going to take this off. It has a little metal side, it looks like. Anyway, I'm gonna pinch those and then pull it off. And then this ring should come off by basically hitting it with a screwdriver and hammer in the opposite way. Looks like it needs to go this way to come off. So. And I'm being careful with this. I do not want to break this piece. Okay, the metal is compressed. Hey, it's coming off. Okay, let's see if fuel comes out. Nope, okay, so that's off. This is off. Next, I'm going to try to take off the ring. Or maybe if I hit it on these things, maybe that'll be better. there's these inner notches work better for spinning it. Okay, that's good. Here's what the ring looks like. It's actually just angled so it tightens as it spins. My paint can openers. This paint can opener's been handy today. It's got a hook on the end of it, just for grabbing under some of these things and getting a lip. There, I can feel the seal come loose now. So we've got this housing. It's got a couple wires. My plan is, of course, not to drop any into the fuel tank, which would be a grave disappointment. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to unplug this double one, and I've got a new part right here. Ow! Darn it. Keep on banging my head on the seat. Okay, so I'm going to basically just try to plug this one in to the new one so I don't lose track of it. Okay, a couple more of these squeeze and pull elements. Man, where can I put this green thing? I don't want to lose it. And to me, if orientation matters, and I'm not certain in this case it does, I'm going to put the tall one to the right. So I'm going to lay that one over there. Oh, well, the tank doesn't look too deep. If I have to go fishing for it, it won't be the end of the world. So, squeeze. Oh, there goes one. That way I can put them back in the exact same manner. I don't have to guess about what goes where. Okay, then this one, press. Ugh. It's gonna be a little bit of a gas smell here. Okay, I'm gonna plug this one in here. This is the O-ring, gasket, whatever that goes around it. Okay, that's in. There. Okay, the metal ring just goes in counter to before. So we're gonna hit it the other way. pieces. I think that's about right. It feels good. Okay. I'm gonna get this line first. And I'll put back on this. Okay, I have the key and I'm getting ready to turn it on. It's fixed. Okay, seats are back in, it's not leaking, and just took it for a test drive. It also, just a heads up, after you swap out the battery, it's going to take a little bit of time to relearn. And I disconnected the battery while I was working on the fuel pump. So take it for a drive, let it idle for a little while. It'll come back, all the right settings. Hope it helps.